I got my first trail camera when I was 10 years old. It took 8 D-cell batteries and had a roll of film, and I set it up on a dead cow to see what would come in on it. I was so excited to take that roll of film to town, get them developed, and when I got my photos back, it was mostly just blurry photos of ravens and magpies, but in one of them, in the dark, I could see all these eyes circling this cow off in the distance, just glowing in this big bright flash of this giant, awkward camera. But I was so excited by that I just knew that I'd be running game cameras forever. And they've changed so much since then. The best of the cameras now are made by Tacticam. So these reveal cell cameras will work in places that have basically no cell service at all. So I can get cell service on the camera when I can't get it on my phone. They have live view. They've got active GPS. So if a bear packs my camera off, I can find it again. Or if I forget about it, definitely have done that. I can change all of the features through the app on my phone. The photos and videos just get sent to me. And ultimately, this makes me a better hunting guide because I can monitor a really wide area without going in there and disturbing the wildlife in that area, right? I'm just getting the intel back and making decisions based off of what I'm seeing on those cameras. If you want to learn more about Reveal, go to www.tacticam.com and check out their newest camera. That's the Ultra. That's the one that I'm using right now. And it's, simply put, the easiest and best trail camera that I've ever used. So go check it out. These are stories of outdoor adventure and expert advice from folks with calloused hands. I'm James Nash, and this is the Six Ranch Podcast. People oftentimes ask me like how I find guests and how long it takes me to set up interviews. This interview has the distinction of being probably the longest setup because we first tried this 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah,
we did. Yep.
Mr. Tim Butler, I don't know if there is anyone I've brought up more often on the podcast than you. Honestly. Okay. You've had a huge impact on my life, and I've learned a ton from you. I always do. Where did your learning begin in what became your field of expertise?
Well, it started real early, and what it was I was just a kid growing up in southern Maine, and I had a couple influences. One was a grandfather that was just quite a Mainer and a good hunter. The other was an uncle that most people don't have an uncle like this. And this guy, he loved guns, he loved the outdoors, but he had a problem. And the problem was he was quadriplegic. He had muscular dystrophy. And that man went on to go through college and open a sporting goods store, which I call it a gun store, but it had those fishing hooks and stuff like that I really didn't care about, but it had guns. Mm-hmm. And that's what sparked my interest is him. And I got to work as a youngster in his shop in West Newfield, Maine, and earn a gun over the summer, splitting wood, to counting fish hooks for inventory, to whatever it was. It was a small shop, and I don't think he did a lot of business, but good influence as far as guns. And as an example of a human, boy, you couldn't beat it because he didn't let that quadriplegic, he didn't bother him. And I could go on and on about him, but I learned a lot. And certainly that, and just me studying when I was a kid, guns being a little bit different to everybody. Some are tools, some are, huge value, whatever it is. But in general, there was what makes us. I mean, we wouldn't be nearly what we are as a country without them. In my study has been that revolution, and at one point the gun industry was the the McDonnell Douglas and the Lockheed of the country.
Right.
The ability for this country to make its own arms was pivotal, was key. It wouldn't be without it. I mean, you get so far with all the French guns that they had and stuff like that and grabbing the English, but until you're able to make your own, you're not a country.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and even like Valley Forge, right? That's a name that everybody knows at least something about. What they probably don't realize is that was where they were mining pig iron so that they could eventually turn it into arms, cannons. Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did your interest in firearms lead you towards the Marine Corps, or were those separate things?
No, two things, I guess. Three things. So we would break it down as my father was a Marine, so I had that example. He was pretty quiet. He was during the Bay of Pigs era of Cuba and stuff like that. But I knew he was a Marine. Two, I thought guns are pretty darn cool, so that certainly was an attraction. And the third thing was I just want to experience the world before I settle down. So I figured, well, I ought to go do this.
Yeah.
The interesting fact about it was I think as a young man, I was a little more mature than the rest, and a little disappointed getting in there as an enlisted Marine and seeing the maturity level of my peers.
What was your job?
I always tell this is the same story I tell everybody is I went in to be an armorer. I signed up. I wanted to be an armorer. Back in that time frame, if you wanted your exact job, you signed up for 6 years. I always pretty good at math, and I figured those 2 years, when you're young, those 2 years is a long, long time. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to sign up to this. And I'm certainly glad to hear that they used to have contract corporals and stuff like that. So you have 6 years, you get promoted above your peers, which is detrimental to leadership. I mean, it was a terrible thing for them to do, and I'm glad they got rid of it. But I went in to be an armorer. I thought I want to work with guns, and in the Marine Corps, this is all good. There's a portion of your, and I think you've mentioned this too. I could swim really good, and what I didn't realize is the job that I eventually got had a high swim qual. Yeah, you had to swim good to get the job. If I would have known this, I would have sunk to the bottom of that pool. So I ended up being in 1833, which is an important number in my life. But I became an amphibious assault crewman to start, which was a good experience. Even though, maybe not been what I wanted to do. In the end, it actually gave me a lot of life lessons. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
So amphibious assault vehicles. Describe that machine a little bit.
26 tons, kind of slow, easy to hit with any type of armor defeating round. I can say it's not the optimum thing. They do. They just since within the last couple of years retired the equipment, and I think it was in the 80s that it came in. I went in the 90s or early 90s. So they were big, large pieces of aluminum that designed to go off the back of a ship, and then you go to shore to them at a whopping 6 miles an hour, which isn't real fast when people are shooting at you. But interesting. I mean, they were better than anything before, and what they have now is better than that. But that's what they were. So yeah. I was in the Fleet Marine Force, but a combat support role, which was fun.
Because everything outside of infantry is combat support.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. And I probably don't do a good enough job of bringing that up. Like the entire Marine Corps is built to support the infantry.
Yep.
Whether that's tanks, artillery, mechanics, motor T, whatever. Everybody is just there to support the infantry. That's a primary mission. Which is great to have that type of clarity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you ever deploy? Did you do any combat tours?
I did. That was so I was at Bush 1 and Reagan, and there was a lot of money, so I enjoyed the fact that I got to go train a lot of things and do a lot of things that assault crewmen shouldn't be doing, whether it be survival training, whatever. We had a lot of fun. I did, deployed on what we're still called Westpacks a couple times, and went to went to Okinawa, and then I ended up got back, and I was at under a year, and I had no intention in staying. And not that I didn't like it, I just was I had other things to do, and I was working at a range facility as a primary marksmanship instructor / the guys that run the range, so known distance course. This is back before optics and all that wimpy shit that you guys have today. And I used to shoot. I did some intramural shooting for the Marine Corps and stuff like that. So I used to shoot. I got into it, and they sent me off as kind of a reward for being a good Marine. And I worked the range, and then one day I got a call, and my gunny looked at me and said, "Yes, sir, you can have them." And I went back to my unit, and within a couple days, I was in the reassigned to my parent unit, and we were part of the 7th MEF, which was the first Marine unit deployed to the Gulf for Gulf One or Desert Storm, I believe, was the final project name. So,
what was that like?
That was.
We don't hear much about it.
Well, no. I mean, it was short, and it was interesting. It embodied part of the coolest time in the Marine Corps. Because you went into wartime. Garrison time sucks. It's no other term to it. One of the things I took out of the Marine Corps was I'll never work for a company that doesn't make a product. Mm-hmm. So at that time. When you're making a product, you go over there. It was kind of fun, so we had all this. Actually, let us play with the good stuff for once, and take some equipment out that we didn't even know we had. But it was I was there for the full tour. First time get the experience of the Marine Corps using the MPS system, which was. Is he growling? No,
he is. We've got a baby basset hound here that's, staring off in the distance. It's also, I think, worth mentioning that right now we're sitting at 7,500 feet elevation in the Bighorn Mountains, looking at some peaks that are going up to about 13,000 feet with some snow on them. There's some nice open flats here, and some old burn scars. There's some rocks. These windswept bristlecone pines up here on this top, pretty magical. And we just had a really good dinner of kind of like an antelope fajita inside of a hoagie roll. It's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Just so people know where we're sitting.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So yeah, got the MPS system was pre-positioned equipment that we stored. Diego Garcia, this came out of, and we got so it was kind of cool. It was the first time the Marine Corps used it. We got to pull this brand new equipment off the ships, and we deployed north. So I got to be that first part. We ended up being in the Kuwait International Airport is what we retook. Got the opportunity on day 2, just past second breach, to be up until the wars following the biggest armor battle that the Marine Corps had been in.
Right.
So that was pretty neat and very interesting from that standpoint. The other standpoints, obviously, I could figure out that. Raising your right hand, and defending your country and service is not necessarily the same thing always. Service is service, and it might be why we were there wasn't defending. It was service. It was to take care of this situation that was happening that could upset the oil supply of the world. So not a big deal.
It's not ours to ask why.
Right, exactly. But I had the opportunity certainly to end that career,
Yeah.
So I was thankful that, and then went on to other things. But good deployment, good everything. Very thankful. no one in my unit got hurt. Little scrapes here and there, but nothing serious. And I literally went home and went about my business. We actually left the Marine Corps right after that. Got home 30 days later, I was gone.
That's a pretty quick turn. I think that time, once you get back from a deployment, is a pretty important time to be around your crew, be around your boys, and talk through some of the stuff that takes a while to come up. 30 days is quick. Did you pack any issues coming away from that, or were you pretty okay?
I fully admit this, and I had. I mean, it's one of those things where it sneaks up on you. I don't, and I believe, a 20-some-year-old man at work crying for no reason is a little concerning, and. That was just, I wouldn't say just the combat, but just the whole going 120 miles an hour, then going to civilian life is a transition in its own. It took me a little bit, and I learned how to cope with it. And then certainly, when those coping measures went away, they did affect me, and it is something I tell anybody, that youth is a great protector. You've got this coating around you because you're ignorant and you're young and all that. But as you get older, that coating wears away, and boy, you better be ready to face those things and take care of them in a healthy way.
You and I have been friends now for 6 years, and you've always been very sensitive about looking out for me, and you're a very intuitive person. Something that I think about from time to time is what an influence you've had within your industry, within the scope of guns later on. And you're a very humble person, and you intentionally don't take credit for things that maybe you should. So I'll ask you this: do you think any individual has had a greater influence on firearms since John Moses Browning than you?
Well, yes. There's been quite a few people, and
who would they be? And why don't I know who they are?
Well, that's because we can sit here and talk about guns and stuff like that, but a lot of
I know you're part of like this engineering cabal of like genius minds that talks to each other about stuff.
No. Well, okay, maybe.
Yeah, that's for sure true. I know this to be true.
But also, I will. Just one of those things up front is what I just to give a little background, 34 years of doing this, and I've done different parts of the industry, in the firearms industry, but a lot of it has been around new product development, and we're all friends in the industry, and it's a tight industry, but we're all competitors too. So guys like me, I don't say a lot.
Yeah,
and his reason is I just can't. I'm working for a company right now, which is absolutely awesome, and I just don't. We don't talk about it. So there is a lot of people in my past that I can't hold a candle to. There's technology is always. I've been in a transition period too, where you're getting so much more from software and stuff like that than my predecessors. So they had to know a lot more. I can reference. I can just. It's a library now, and if I just want to look something up, it's really easy. They didn't have that opportunity. So there's guys out there that did. That I certainly looked up to. Unfortunately, he's getting less and less of them. It's, and I'm sure there's a lot of youngsters coming up that are going to do just as good as I did, or if not better. There's no biggie there. But
what gun companies have you worked for as an engineer?
Well, we'll start with gun companies I work with. I didn't. I was a bullhead in school, and I got bored easy, so I didn't plan on going to college initially. So that's why I went in the Marine Corps, get through there. and then get on to college. So when I started in the industry, I was going to school nights and learning initially a machine tool degree, then on to mechanical. And so I started entry level, got my foot in the door in Thompson Center Arms. They're, before basically the second set of owners. And it was a good little family company. Enjoyed it well. After that, I went on to get my taste of a bigger company, and that was Sturm Ruger. And for those of you just call it Ruger, that's fine. But Bill Sr., he would never forget it's Sturm Ruger. He never forget the guy that helped him for 2 years to get off the ground.
I'll make that correction from now on. I haven't been doing that.
Yeah, I still talk to a few of the designers there. That one I'll just call straight out. It's James McGarry. James came out of plastics industry, and this was when the firearms industry wasn't doing any polymer or very little. And he sat down.
Just wood and metal.
Yeah. He sat down and talked to the old man and got a job. And his last employer was the company that owns Playtex. So you can figure what he was designing. But he had the wherewithal, and he loved Shonen Mausers. But me and him talk, and there's never a Ruger. It's Sturm Ruger.
Okay.
As to honor that.
What was Bill Ruger like as a man?
Geez, I only knew him at the end of his life. And I wouldn't say I really knew him. I only engaged with him. And Stern got an interesting spot where I believe that if you were a gun guy and you really had a heart for guns, he'd give you a nod. If you were someone that was in the business because you're a businessman, you get the nod. He wouldn't give you time. Some called him mean, some called him grumpy. I don't know. He was definitely passionate for what he did, and that I give respect for.
The first gun I ever fell in love with was a Ruger number 1.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 1's a good gun. I'd like to see him, and that was when unfortunately. Is hard to manufacture. Never warranted probably the engineering as far as efficient or lean manufacturing to get it to a scale that was probably more affordable. Mm-hmm. It just didn't have that pull, but certainly a good gun.
How did they manage headspace on that gun?
We had a breech block in the back, and you just ground the block that comes up and down. That's how you do it. You grind the backside. And,
okay.
Yep. And you could obviously that was one method. You could run it off the front too, off the chamber.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I never thought about that until just now. Where did you go after Sturm Ruger?
I was at Ruger for quite a bit. I went to Remington, and this was the Ilion, New York plant where the history all is, and had an absolute blast. Mm-hmm. Signed on there as a designer, and fortunate or unfortunate, I only spent a year there. Mm-hmm. As far as a designer.
Did you design anything there that people would know about?
I was doing mostly maintenance. So the new product design stuff was coming out of Mayfield, Kentucky, or Elizabethtown. No, I worked on the Versamax a little bit. There were certain things we were doing, but the vast majority of my job, there was me and another gentleman named Jack Cast. Our job was to correct issues with current product. So going through 1100's got a problem, this got a problem. We worked through that. Mm-hmm. And we were also doing, improvements to the products, which were, changing them over from, it may have been a machine part to a MIM part or whatever it was. Yeah, so, and again, I only did that for a year.
And MIM, it means that it's injection molded?
Yeah, metal injection molded, yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then, I still, I had a lot of love for guns and a lot of passion for it. And at a year mark, in walks this gentleman. And I kind of knew who he was. And but I didn't. I mean, I knew who he was, but I never met him. This big plant, over 1 million square feet.
1 million square feet.
Yeah, 1,030,000.
Wow.
So he walks in, and I kind of know who he is, but I don't. And he goes, "What do you know about guns?" So he sat through me through lunch, and we went through a bunch of stuff. And he gets up and shakes my hand. He says, "I think you're going to do good here." And he walks out. And my boss comes in and says, "Congratulations." And I said, For what? He says, "You're the next custom shop manager for Remington." And the guy's name's Tim McCormick, and he had decided it was time. He retired. He was over 40 years. And at 35 years old, I became the youngest custom shop manager.
What do you think it was about how you answered that question that made him make that decision?
It's just love.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell anybody this, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you love what you're doing, boy, that gets you a long ways. Mm-hmm. And passion and drive, I don't care. At this point, I've hired a lot of folks and a lot of young engineers, and smarts is great, but if they don't have the drive, it ain't worth anything.
Can you tell me the story about the number test?
Oh, yeah, we were talking earlier, and I had about a few years ago, I had to change out and hire a new ballistician for my current position, and we certainly can mention it. Today I head engineer for Weatherby, great company. I love it to death. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So I had a ballistician leave, and I needed to hire a new one, an apprentice, to learn, and a senior ballistician there. And so I was like, boy, we've got these folks, and we want to hire within, and promote them within. And I was like, I asked my ballistician, what's the most important attribute? And he goes, it's just got to be absolutely precise and can't make mistakes, and it's just attention to detail. And I said, okay, got it. So we started interviews, and I'm like, okay, a lot of interviews is just a personality thing. Do you get along with them? Do you feel good? All that stuff. And I was like, well, I'm gonna put some substance to this. So I made a sheet, and I don't remember how many were on it, probably 40, 50, and 2 columns, and there were 13-digit numbers. Within those 13-digit numbers, they matched left and right. Within that, I put mistakes in, and I gave it to each individual that was applying, and I said, I got 2 minutes. And I said, tell me which ones don't match. So they all go through it. And the gentleman that got the job was, he did the least amount out of them. And, but the difference in how he got that job, he didn't make a mistake. That's how he got it. So that's how I figured out who was the right guy. He wasn't worried that 2 minutes was happening and he was being pressured. He still did the right thing. And that's the person I want to look. And he had the attention to detail to go through it. Did the least amount. I mean, he did a decent amount, but most people think I got to finish this or I'm not going to get it. And that wasn't the case.
That's amazing. There's such a strong lesson there.
Yeah.
I for sure would have been the guy that got the least, but I don't know if I would have gotten any of them correct. Yeah. What does a ballistician do at a company like Weatherby?
So they're in charge of developing the ammunition loads. They're gonna take the intent of what the cartridge is, what it's gonna, what's it supposed to do, or how fast it's gonna go, and they'll work through bullets, make sure that the loads are good. That's kind of the development side. The other side's maintenance, and we load ammunition, and that ballistician's in charge of the safety. So they have strict protocol, and as the machine's running, they're doing sampling. They're doing it through a universal receiver and a pressure barrel, and they're checking the pressure and making sure it's right. Mm-hmm. Very strict, very, very, very safe. And it's an area we don't wiggle on.
Yeah. So what was your job at the Remington Custom Shop?
I was the manager. Initially, for the first several years, I was the manager of the custom shop, and I kind of took over right after, Tim McCormick was there, and kind of did what he did. And The difference was he was an industrial engineer, and he was real good on the marketing end. And, I just had this whole thing where I really don't like people that much. So I went into the gun a little farther, and I hope, and I'm pretty sure, I improved the product quite a bit. Got some capital, got some new equipment, and got what at the time was, I laugh about it now because I'm the same age as they were, but I had about 13 grumpy old men. They were all, it took 34 years, it is quite a testament, it took 34 years to get into that shop. Wow. And my average guy was like 37 years of tenure to work in that shop. So,
and you were managing at 35.
Yeah, 35, 36, somewhere around there somewhere.
Wow.
And so right now I'm at 34, so I could basically now I could get a job there. if it was still running, I could apply and get into the shop, I think.
How long did you work there?
Oh, that was 7-8 years. It was a good 7-8 years. It was they went through some acquisition stuff, and it ended up being not so fun. And I ended up
2000s.
Yeah, I got there in 2004, and I left in 11.
So if somebody got a custom gun from Remington at that time, you had your hands on it.
Yeah, it had my signature. Yeah. I did. One thing that I prided myself on was final inspection. Mm-hmm. I did the last inspection before the gun went in the box, that was something I didn't waver on. Yeah. I didn't grow out of. Towards the end there, I ended up running a little company called Bushmaster, run the assembly end of it, and their pistol program, their 1911s.
Yeah.
So my job was growing, probably in a direction I really didn't want to go from an operations standpoint in that. So and I decided, well, okay, I've had some family matters that needed attention to, and I left, and I started a 10-year tenure at Sig Sauer. Mm-hmm. And this was a venture out of not working for engineering. A funny story was when I had interviewed at Sig, two people were in the room along with Mr. Cohen, the CEO. One was my old boss at Ruger. Mm-hmm. He was my engineering manager at Ruger, and he was there. The other one was the best friend of the guy that I replaced at the custom shop. So I had two guys who were there. They knew me. Yeah. And
does that mean they're allies, or did that make you nervous?
No. In fact, actually, the conversation went, what do you want to do in my company?
Yeah. You got the job, so.
Yeah, I got to pick my job. Yeah. So I could have gone engineering. I had not done any product management and marketing stuff, so I thought, I could like to try that for a little bit. So I did that for 10 years.
Which is where we met.
Yep.
When Sig decided to get into the grand world of hunting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And boy, did I learn a lot. I did. I learned so much. I learned so many valuable lessons, and there are some really hard times for me there. But yeah, I learned a tremendous amount, and I've benefited greatly from those lessons and those wonderful experiences that I got to have there.
Yeah, it was good. I think I gave you the best advice in the world.
Shut up.
No, it wasn't that. I usually don't tell people that. They get it from my look. But you asked how to be successful.
Yeah, and I very distinctively remember your answer. I remember where we were standing at SHOT Show when I asked you. You said, "Be a nice guy."
Yeah, and that gets you a lot of ways. It's for people to understand, especially if you're hired on subject matter expert or something like that, or and you're in the public eye, whatever it is. Really, the honest truth is just be nice. You will. They already accept who you are. You're an expert. Whether me walking into some firearms saying or whatever, you're really expert. Just be nice.
Yeah.
That's the biggest lesson, and you'll go a long way. So if you leave that person, whoever it is, with a good feeling, you've done your job.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think we could all follow that advice in any field.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah. And and then you moved out to Weatherby, and I see this as your sunset. Like this is where the masterpiece is going to come from.
Yeah, hopefully. It definitely was a purposeful move, and it was definitely I started with a small family company. I wanted to end with one. And some people really, really enjoy corporate life. Not so much.
Yeah.
What I enjoy is working.
Yeah.
And doing fun stuff, and I don't need the things that come with big companies.
You were kind enough today to give me a tour of Weatherby, and I got to meet some of your staff and see the machines that are making all the parts and pieces, and I love that stuff, and I've been so privileged to see different ammunition manufacturing facilities and gun companies. I will never ever get tired of that, but I really, really like situations like this where not only is it the end of the workday, but it's also the end of the work week. And looking at people's attitudes when they're closing in on that tells me more about the company than their product does. And people were happy.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. There's a bunch of Hawaiian shirts around. I like seeing that.
Yeah, I've yet to sign up for that club, but
I'll get you there.
Yeah, it takes some pushing. I don't change much often. One of my mentors was a khaki pants, business casual blue shirt. Wore a blue shirt every day. It was a different shirt, but it was blue. Same shirt. And pretty much we had to bring his wife into counsel and ask her to change that up a little.
Yeah.
Towards the end, yeah, he did. But I think that kind of we like the same thing.
You like what you like.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that fellow was an engineer.
Of course he was. Yeah, and a good one.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So with your time here at Weatherby, what products have you worked on?
Ooh. I probably the biggest one is 307. Pretty much it was they're waiting for this guy that knew 700s a little bit, and I wouldn't say I know everything, but boy, I dusted off the cobwebs, and I think in the end we got a really good product.
Yeah.
So yeah, the 307 was a big one. There's
and for people who aren't familiar with that, which everybody should be, but for those who aren't, what is the 307 and what makes it special?
Well, so if we look at the Weatherby line, the Mark V series, incredibly strong, very detailed, expensive to make. You've seen the 2 3/8 piece of steel we start with.
Yeah.
It's substantial. The 307 was to follow, and the 307 itself is the area code for Wyoming, which we live. But it was also it was kind of when I started, I had a young engineer that had already gone down a road of another design, and it was I think called the Mark III, and we were Wyoming 307. So he was all up in arms as we coming up with this thing, and it wasn't necessarily maybe his, and so he's like, well, I've got Mark III already taken, it's all in the, and I was like, okay, we'll call it 307, and made him do that the whole time. But it's a clone of a Remington 700 two-lug system. Very versatile, fits in, any 700 stock that you got, stuff like that, accessories, triggers, stuff like that go on. Not 100% 700, but it's the blueprint. Of a basic, but it's a good little rifle. There's and it helped the company come into again, we said that the Mark V is a piece of art, and it's expensive, so it allowed us to reduce our cost and make a more affordable rifle.
Does it shoot well?
Shoots very good.
Yeah.
No, it's one thing I don't hear. I peruse the customer returns, and I don't see many accuracy, if that,
Good.
if any. So, no, been very happy with that.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool looking gun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And it's just got Wyoming DNA.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's apparent to me in it. And Wyoming is a special state that a lot of people don't see, or they only see a part of it that isn't representative of the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Will you tell me about the pistols for the guards of the tomb?
Yeah. So I had progressed at 6 hours doing product stuff, and I was doing pistols. Evolved through, and we were making quite a few different things. But at some point, I was needing to take a break. That it's a hard job, and so I got this custom background and started doing, which is I believe they still call it SIG Custom Works, and started the groundwork for that. At the same time, some individuals knew kind of my background. In Remington Custom, I got to do some neat stuff. I got to do some high-end work, and when I say I, it's never I, it's us. We did it, and I'll never take credit for someone else did. But at least I got to organize it. I got to use my creativity and help and build some stuff. So the Tomb of the Unknown carries for the changer, the officer that comes out, maybe a non-commissioned officer, but someone comes out and changes the guard, the sentinels. They carry a pistol. And when Sig Sauer got the award for the handgun for M18 and M17, the Tomb engaged the company and said, "Hey, could we get a couple pistols and so we can doll them up a little bit and have them replace the Berettas, and so they'd be current." And so they asked me to get involved, and I'm like, "Well, I think we can do that. That's no problem." So I got to go down there, and it was 3 of us went down, and we sat in the ready room underneath where the museum is, or I'm not sure exactly its technical term, but what the building that backs up the tomb. And boy, they just overwhelmed me with all this stuff, and I was like, "Holy cow, how can I do this?" And in retrospect, probably added a little too much and appeased a little too much, but it's something I'm extremely proud of. And what we ended up doing was making 4 pistols for him. 2, we'll call it was just for other term, a day gun. This is the ceremonial gun, the real bright one. And then there's 2 fair weather or bad weather guns or night guns that were made. So most people don't know there was 4, but there's the Berettas were named Silence and Respect. And those are the 2 things that are written as you walk up to the tomb, right on a sign, no matter which way you come. And I thought about it, and I was like, that's a worthy tradition. Beretta did it. It's competition, but you know what? They served at the tomb for a lot of years. So I did Silence and Respect. The other come from their creed. The other 2 are dignity and perseverance. If you do a project like that, you learn to really love perseverance because it takes it. It's hard to do in a company that's trying to make money with a lot of guns and trying to make 4. And 4 really special ones. And I fully admit we geeked out pretty hard on some of the stuff that you don't, so if anyone looks at it, it was very hard. The day guns or the presentation guns were really hard to take pictures of, so they were so bright. And so it's like, we were the first ones really to make aluminum grip for a gun that was polymer. Wasn't going to put a polymer gun out there, or a polymer grip. So got the prototype shop, make some aluminum up, sent it off to some friends, and so to make the aluminum strong, you anodize it. Mm-hmm. It was a problem anodizing non-conductive. So had some friends in the plating industry and the engraving industry, which is very, very indebted to. Once you start a project like this and you say, what are you really doing? Boy, it wasn't anybody that wouldn't help me. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, those the slides are stainless and they're polished and they've got a coating on them. But the frames are pretty special because they're aluminum. And then to get it conductive, they flashed on copper. And then after copper, nickel. They got a nickel coating on there, polish it up good. And then what most people don't even know exists is a material called palladium. We put palladium on there and then polished up again. And then what's on the top, which is kind of like an M&M, your hard candy shell, is DLC. That's diamond-like carbon. It's an amorphous vapor deposition process, and it's used quite a bit in the industry today. But this one's particularly hard to do because it's a polished surface, and to get it to adhere to it took quite a bit. So we polish these things up, which is great. Any gun can be polished, but every part of those pistols, you guys can look them up, and I recommend you do it because it is a special project, and it's for something that's completely very important. And what those young men and women do there is pretty neat. If you've not been to the tomb, you should go. But every part of that pistol had something in it. Again, maybe a little too much, but in general, I don't think so at all. Cocking serrations weren't standard; they were XI 21. They were to be. Everything about the gun was about 21, or about something about the tomb.
What's the significance of 21?
21 gun salute, which you get into, is an honor. Started with ships and coming into port. From there, for the tomb, everything is 21. The sentinel takes 21 steps and turns. Everything they do is 21, is to give respect to that. I just saw a post the other day, and I think it's important to bring out. There was a gentleman that was a soldier that was, I believe he was doing his last walk, and they're like, man, he walked and he didn't even have a stripe, meaning that he was done. He didn't have no rank on his shoulder. When a sentinel walks, he has no rank because he does not want to outrank whoever the unknown is. So it's an important thing. Their uniforms are rankless for a reason. I think there was very shortly a 1 or 2 star ended his tour as the last walk. So pretty significant. And again, probably not doing them 100% justice. There's a lot of things in there. The importance was to make a pistol that they could work on. I was watching and I was like, so what do you do to the Beretta to keep it clean? And they showed me, and one of the things was they take the medallion. So they had the third guard medallion on one side and the tomb medallion on the other. And they would razor blade, take off the emblems off the grips, and then clean up the check ring, and then glue it back. And I'm like, that's not going to work. So I ended up fulfilling a lifelong dream and using earth magnets, rare earth magnets, and I made the grips so they clip on. The medallions have C-clip on the back. Gave them a bag of them so they could always keep it clean, always keep it fresh. The grips have no exposed screws. There is no screws on it. There's nothing. Magnets are holding it. The front's lipped in, and magnets hold the rest. And it was important to me to have that look. In that evolution, and boy, it's slipping me at the moment. So the grips on the day gun are made off the deck of the USS Olympia. USS Olympia was General Dewey's flagship cruiser or battleship, I'm not sure. I think cruiser. And brought the first unknown from France to the U.S. So that deck that body was laid on is made from those grips. Those grips are made from that. Another interesting fact on the day guns, the night sights are usually vials of tritium, and they're installed into the front and the rear sights. Those were when there was a Vietnam unknown, and there was a situation in the 80s where technology was catching up, and there was a family fairly sure that that was their loved one in that tomb, and they exhumed the body, and sure enough, it was a Navy pilot. and he was sent home. And the third tomb was reinscribed. A 1985 penny went into the hole, and that's it, and they covered it. When the Sentinels had the foresight to collect that, when they were re-engraving it, to collect that dust from the marble of the tomb. And this is technically in front of the main tomb. And I got some of that and reached out to the first person that I knew had a Cornell background, and if you know Cornell University, and had a lot to do with glass and development of all kinds of things, obviously light bulb stuff like that. But I reached out to someone that was super smart, and I said, hey, I want to do this. And then they said, well, you know, when you get marble dust hot, it's just limestone, and it just explodes. And I said, well, maybe that's not a good plan. But they were able to do it. So they took dust from the tomb and infused it into the site. So when you look in those sites, you're looking at the tomb. Really, that's it. The dust is what's reflecting back. So there's several other things.
Are there things in those guns that only those guards will ever know?
Yeah, if they look around. Yeah. I put stuff in there for them. There's some Easter eggs in there, and eventually someone will put 2 and 2 together. But I put it in there for them to figure out. There's little things hidden that I thought were important. There's one of our team had lost his best friend in war, and sits right off the front of that tomb, right in section 23, and he's represented in there somewhere. Mm-hmm. So, but great project. I'll go. My one of my life goals, obviously, is to get back there. If I have the tenure of those guns have the tenure of the Beretta, I'll be in my 80s.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can hobble on back there and look at them.
I'll go with you.
Yep. Someday I get, Clint Eastwood would say, good and aged.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you'll still be out hiking me at that stage. So, yeah. Is that project the one that you're most proud of the things that you've done? Well,
from a standpoint, there was several in that line that I certainly had the honor doing. Marine POW, I got the honor, and that was. And when you're doing these and you're studying everything and you're getting information about these projects, you're living it. It becomes really personal, and it's one of those things. It's like, you're getting. Another one was Britt Sablinski is a Medal of Honor recipient. And Britt's the whole scenario around, or the whole situation around how we got the medal and stuff like that, gut wrenching. Absolutely gut wrenching, and to do those, yeah, very very honored to do. From a, I don't know, I'll pull a Tom Brady and say, my best design's my next one, mm-hmm. But I hope to have a couple more left in me here, but. P210, from an execution standpoint, I think I heard you the other day said you worked for a company that didn't have anything that had a heart and soul to it and was kind of just a tool. And that's a gun that breaks that, I think. I don't think that's
for sure true. And in fact, I was just teaching a pistol class a couple days ago here in Wyoming, and there was 2 pistols there, and every group of students that came up, I would talk through all the handguns that I had and why they were special to me. And 2 of them that I had there, one was the P210 Target and one was the P229. Mm-hmm. And both of them, I said, these are very special and this is why. And these are guns that I got from Tim Butler. And don't you dare mess with them.
Yeah, well, you need to figure out who can fix them for you.
Yeah. No. That 210 is a really lovely and beautiful pistol, and it is it's the only gun that I keep inside my podcast studio. Yeah,
great.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, something happened for a while where guns started to get ugly, and I grew up with beautiful guns, and walking around Weatherby today was really refreshing because I saw beautiful guns again.
Yeah.
And a lot of what's being produced in a modern age, is wildly functional, but aesthetically, not so much.
Yeah. There's been a change, and that's, certainly we build what people want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of, and I understand, and some of me is, I do like what I call technical guns, right? So they're efficient, they work, but boy, do they have the heart and soul as others? No. I'm still every year I pull out something out of my collection that this year's is a Winchester 88 that I bought. It's like brand new, mint looking thing. Don't even know if it shoots good, but I don't care. I can get close.
Yeah, just get closer.
So I plan on packing that. And every year I pick, for years I went and just like, we talking about my favorite thing is putting, I hunt a lot and I like, shooting things, and we've shot a lot of animals, but I shot a lot of cartridges too, where I used to go and just run through all the 7s. And I'd hunt with them every year and then run through the 30s. And, so I have, there's cartridges that have a lot of passion to them. And then, I think there's some cartridges that have a high rating for a reason that, they don't have the passion and they don't have the drive. And quite honestly, maybe they'll do something a little better than the other, but, it really doesn't change my experience. My experience is a little better shooting something that, would be my grandfather's gun or cartridge that, last year I shot a whitetail with a 25-35. And I could show that cartridge around, and most people never knew what it was.
Right.
As a kid, I used to chamber a bunch of guns in it, but, those are replaced with others, which is fine. But,
mm-hmm.
and before that, they replaced others. So,
What advice would you give to the young version of yourself who's out there today, somebody who, is looking to get into engineering inside of the gun space?
Well, have the drive and have the passion. That really gets you there. Be polite and get yourself a foot in the door somewhere, right? And it may not be the place you stay, and you never know the ones you'll come back to, so be nice about it, but, and progress. And I look at people and I definitely, amongst my hiring processes, is look at driving and that. And education's important. It gives you tools. It gives you tools a little earlier, faster. But, man, I've seen a lot of people with drive and determination whip up on them pretty good. Mm-hmm. In my career, I've seen
perseverance.
One of the best engineers I ever worked with, and boy, he could run circles around me. Just basic stuff. Was self-taught.
Yeah.
He left college with a liberal arts degree, and became a certified engineer because of drive.
Yeah.
And did it himself.
What was his name?
Steve Panicero. He was a close friend for many years, and a definite person that helped me. I hope I helped him. Good guy.
And vicariously, he's about to be helping me.
Correct. Yeah. There's a long story there.
Yeah,
but a good one.
Yeah, that one's just for us.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm deeply honored. Also, sun's gone down now. It's getting a little bit cold, and I've heard rumors of rhubarb pie.
You got it.
I think we should investigate that.
Absolutely. It's about time.
All right. Well, folks, if you're interested in anything that we've talked about, I hope that you'll, at a minimum, look up these pistols that we talked about that the guards of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier carry. And if you're keen on seeing what the masterpiece is going to be, keep an eye on Weatherby. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Tim.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who has taken the time out of their busy lives to write a review for the show and share it with their friends. I'm extremely proud of how intelligent, engaged, and adventurous this audience is. Original music for the Six Ranch podcast is written and performed by Justin Hay. Art for the Six Ranch podcast was created by John Chatelain and digitized by Celia Harlander. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week.